General Flynn, so all of these evil forces during the Obama administration, oh yeah, he was succeeding. Oh, they just want to destroy this country. They thought they had it in the bag. Hillary was going to finish off what Trump started. Trump gets in. We know what the deep state wants, what the globalists want, what the left wants. They're all in sync together here. And so they got to get rid of Trump. They got to get him out of the way because he cares about America. He wants to protect freedom, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got an election coming up in 2020. I'm going back in time. Trump's got 50,000 people at this rally. He's got 50,000 people at this rally. Biden's got like 3 people sitting in some parking lot. I'm still not sure if they were real, but that's another debate. And then all of a sudden we have this magic virus. And then it's too dangerous to come vote in person now. But of course you can go to a BLM rally and burn some businesses. That's okay. But voting in person is too dangerous. We need the mail-in ballot now. Then all of a sudden we've got all these tens of thousands of mail-in ballots that really don't belong to anyone or to dead people. Something's very strange there. Trump is ahead in Pennsylvania by a couple 100,000 at the least, if I'm correct, if not more. Then the counting stops. Then all of a sudden these walls come up, or those billboards they were, they were putting them up. And then all of us, looks, I mean, we know the story, but something is very strange. And I just wonder, what do you have to say about what just happened?
Well, what happens, first of all, when there is something that goes wrong for the wrong reasons by the wrong people, and you know, that what eventually happens, Jamie, is the truth comes out. And I would just say that everything that we are seeing in the media these days, and probably since, you know, probably the middle of December on, but certainly into January, and then now, all these different big ticket media debates that are going on TV these days, everything is a distraction to not stay focused on what happened the evening, actually the morning of the 4th of November, 2020, almost through the 7th of November for the 3 days following the election, you know, the mail-in ballots, as you talked about. Everything else is a distraction. And in some cases, I believe what we're going to learn is that much of this stuff was a setup, or certainly get this out there because we need that kind of noise. We need that sort of deflection to keep away from allowing people to discuss what happened on the 3rd of November. And I can tell you what happened on the 3rd of November, the truth will come out, that you cannot hide it. More and more stuff, more and more information comes out every day. We're learning things that's empowering the argument, even though we were, and I will give the left credit for us being sort of outmaneuvered. The American people were outmaneuvered, and the clock ran out, constitutional clock, but it doesn't mean that the constitutionality wasn't violated. It was violated. It was violated by a number of states and a number of things that are all still in play. I mean, we just saw a ruling up in Michigan. We've seen machines in New Hampshire now being audited. We've seen I think Claudia Kenny, I think it's District either 20 or 22 in New York, who did not concede, and she fought, and she finally got into Congress after 3 canvassings of her vote. We've seen indictments and I think convictions, but certainly indictments in small places in New Jersey and Mississippi and in Texas. We have the audit, the forensic and the signature and the mail-in ballot audit going on out in Maricopa County is still being debated, but I think that's going to happen, is my belief. We know recently we learned about fraudulent ballots in the state of Georgia. I know of another district in Pennsylvania where the great a great gal who was running in one of the districts here in Western Philly, and I think it's Manchester County. Don't hold me to that. That has not conceded. So there's all these battles. There's these skirmishes that are being waged on America's battlefield, America's election battlefield, still from the 3rd of November, and all of them are not being covered. In fact, none of them are being covered. If you find it, it's only because you're like me. You're paying very close attention, or we are intimately involved in many of them to help these people, fight these legal battles. Everywhere we have been, Jamie, and this includes from the 3rd of November up until the 20th of January, and then subsequent the weeks and a couple of months now after that, everywhere where we've been to do nothing but find the truth, to discover the truth, discover the outcome as to whatever it was, Biden or Trump, doesn't matter. At this stage, it's like, I want to just get to the truth. But every time we have gone at asking for something that we, the people, the American taxpayers, either in the states or at the federal level, are paying for, we pay for our election system. So we want it to be free, fair, and transparent. Every single place we've been, there have been legions of lawyers being paid for by God knows who, to fight, to basically expose, they're fighting us. We're trying to expose the truth, and they're fighting against that. I mean, and that's why I say that, and I said this, I think, as far back as the 4th or the 5th, maybe, of November of 2020. And I know I said this in one of the first interviews when I was asked about, what do you think's happening? One of the things I said was the judiciary is not going to solve this problem for us. The judiciary in the year 2000, with one county in Florida, did not decide on the outcome of the Bush-Gore fight that they had back then. All they decided on then was the constitutionality of the vote system that they had in that one county in Florida. And when they went back and said, this component of it is not constitutional, that allowed the county to then go back and say, okay, these ballots, these things are not constitutional, therefore they get thrown out. George Bush is the victor. Well, that's all we were looking for. But what happened this time around, instead of picking one county in Florida to try to get control of a very, very important state, they picked 6 counties across the country. They didn't pick 50 states. They were really smart. This is very strategic and really, really smart. I mean, I give them credit. I give the other side credit for how they strategically considered how to steal a presidential election through 6 counties, and how they were going to put people in there, the right messaging, the right resources, the right types of money. And then you have your machinery ready after the fact. And that machinery is your cancel culture or your tech censorship, right? If I stand up and I say the vote was corrupt and I don't trust the outcome, then I get bumped off of Twitter, right? I had 1.3 million followers on Twitter. I'm censored off of that. And I always tell people, because I think it was because I used to say, God bless America on every tweet that I would have, or I would put some biblical verse on there. And it's just such an it's a godless culture in the tech sector. But so, I mean, that's a long-winded explanation of what we're facing in this country right now. We've got to move here, folks that are listening. Let's get back into our churches. Let's bring God back into this country, because the left that we're facing, they don't have God in their lives. They don't believe in God. They want to take God out of, in God we trust, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. They want to remove that. They don't, they're not joking when they say, women and amen. I mean, this is not about skin color either. Everybody's going to get called a racist. You're a racist. You're this, you're that. I mean, I don't care if a person's, pink with purple polka dots. You know, it's like everything else that we know to be true, the things that I talked about as in my own growing up. You treat others like you like to be treated, you know, but immediately you get called a racist because you don't believe something, or you have an argument about, you know, the election, right? The left would always say disenfranchise. You're disenfranchising me, right? You're disenfranchising me, and the judges would come in and say, "Yep, you're being disenfranchised." Well, entire states have been disenfranchised. How about the state of Oklahoma? 77 counties, the entire state. First time in the history of this country, all 77 counties voted for the president, Donald J. Trump. First time in the history of this country. I mean, there's all kinds of stats that just speak to the laughability, frankly, but this is serious, of how Trump crushed in this last election.
Yeah.
But, you know, when I think about 77 counties in one state, all of them, and they all went for Donald Trump, every one of those people that voted in every one of those counties is disenfranchised as far as I'm concerned, because the true outcome of the election, you know, didn't occur. And so that entire state, you know, it's like they almost didn't exist. It's like that they were all excited and they got fired up and they went out there and voted in droves. And lo and behold, the rug was pulled out from underneath them in other parts of the country in just a couple of counties. So that's what we're facing. So what we have to do is we have to get to the truth. We will get to the truth. The truth will come out. It always does. And there are still some legal battles. I want people to know that you're not alone. There's those of us that are out here fighting this good fight, and we will, and we're going to do it through every means that we can, you know, through the constitutional process. And we're going to do it from the grassroots level on up. Doing it from the top doesn't work.
Right.
Thank you, General Flynn.